Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Megan. Thanks so much for watching, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about how to transition to a plant-based diet. Before I get into everything, make sure you are subscribed and hit the bell so you don't miss any uploads, and also go follow me over on my Instagram. So I wanted to talk about transitioning to a plant-based diet because I feel like it can be a little bit overwhelming, it can seem really daunting, and especially I feel like it's overwhelming if you've, grown up in the South where we have meat and dairy at basically every single meal. And when Celie became allergic to chicken and beef and turkey, and I mean, she was already allergic to eggs and had trouble with dairy, so once she added the meats onto everything else she was dealing with, I knew that I had to look into going plant-based for her, and my friend Michelle recommended that I start by watching the documentary called Game Changers, and I'm so glad that I did because I feel like it's a good introductory to a plant-based diet, and you can really see the benefits that it has on both recovery and performance, which may or may not be important to you, but I feel like it gives a good baseline level of knowledge of a plant-based diet and what it can do. I feel like it's also not as intense as watching What the Health, which if you're going to watch those two documentaries, I would say watch Game Changers first and then What the Health. Both are available to watch on Netflix, and you can rent them on YouTube if you don't have Netflix. But I feel like watching those documentaries is what really made me see and understand that I could switch to a plant-based diet and it would be both of benefit to me and to Celie. And what I did after that was watch a ton of videos on YouTube. I Googled every question I had about going plant-based, and there are two channels that really popped up a lot for me. One is Mike the Vegan. He has an awesome channel, and what I like the most about his channel is he puts out research in his videos, and he also links the articles that he talks about in the description box. So if I wanted to, I could go read the article in its entirety instead of just taking his word for it. The other channel that I really like is called the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. This is, I think, founded by Dr. Neil Barnard, and he's a really well-known plant-based doctor, and what he talks about makes a lot of sense. He has a ton of interviews as well as lectures on YouTube on top of having this whole channel that talks about a plant-based diet and the most recent research. It's really awesome. So I think that those two channels are probably the best to check out if you are considering going plant-based. So I think the other thing that you should do if you're wanting to transition is also to read The Starch Solution by Dr. McDougall, and then there are a bunch of books by Neil Barnard, Dr. Greger. Those are just a couple I can think off the top of my head. I have The Starch Solution here. This is what it looks like. I am probably a quarter through this book, and I'm slowly working my way through it, just so that I can really know all the details about this particular branch of a plant-based diet, because obviously you can be plant-based and eat junk, or you can really fuel your body and base it mostly on starch and vegetables and fruit. So with nuts and avocado and healthy fats mixed in there also. I also have this book by Dr. Barnard. It's about balancing your hormones and things like that. I have not been able to dive into this book yet, but that is next on the list after I finish the Starch Solution. But I have watched a ton of interviews where he talks about this book and kind of like gives an overview of the information that's in each chapter. And it's really interesting stuff, especially coming from the standpoint that I have a ton of hormonal issues. I know I have hormonal issues. This is not new information to probably any of you. But basically, I feel like once I started diving into the actual research behind plant-based diets, I found that it can pretty much solve a lot of problems that are common in especially the, you know, United States in general, and just like reverse everything that our standard American diet causes. So once you get through the overwhelming amounts of information, or however much you need to get through, I think that you need to find out why you want to switch to a plant-based diet, because once you find your why and you find the information backing up your why, then you will be able to stay motivated and stick with this diet and turn it into a lifestyle when it gets hard. Because let me tell you, at like Christmas or New Year's, not for me because I come from like, I'm allergic to a lot of stuff anyways, so I come from that aspect, and like obviously if I didn't make it, I'm not going to give it to Celie because I do not want to deal with a miserable baby who had something that she's allergic to by accident. But at least for my husband, it was hard for him to not have regular mac and cheese. It was hard for him to not have like banana pudding and regular corn casserole and all of that. So it's good to have your why, so that when things get hard, or when it, you know, it's super convenient to just have like regular American diet food. Like it's easy just to get like a hamburger, but it's not as easy to get a plant-based burger. Well, Burger King makes that a little bit easier now with the Impossible Burger, but still it's a little bit more difficult to avoid animal products because they are so easy to come by. So finding your why is going to help you stick with it. Hopefully, you know, that's the main summary of all of that. The next thing that you need to do, and it's what helped me stick with my diet and transition to it without feeling like I was dying, was just that, making a slow transition. And I made a relatively slow transition. I did not go cold turkey except with meat. I tried just not have as much and kind of like lessen and like have it one day, skip a couple of days, but I got to the point where I didn't want to wake up and have my hands hurting anymore or be swollen. So I literally just stopped cold turkey with meat. However, for my husband, it was a little bit easier to swap out the meat with plant-based meat. Like we use Dr. Prager's Perfect Burgers and the Perfect Ground, and Celie also can have that too, so that makes it easy. But there are so many options for plant-based meat that I feel like in the beginning, if you just, you know, make one swap at a time with that kind of thing, you'll eventually get to the point where you don't feel like you need the fake meat anymore. Some other easy swaps is to switch out your butter with vegan butter. We use the Earth Balance soy-free vegan butter because that just is what works for us, and with our food allergies that we have in our household. And then the other thing you want to do is to switch your dairy milk out with plant-based milk. And there are a ton of options everywhere for plant-based milks. So those two things, I feel like the milk and the butter are easy swaps that anybody could do. And the last swap would be the cheese. I have found that the Violife cheese is the better one, but just keep in mind that vegan cheese is not going to melt the same as regular, like real cheese, but it will kind of get you through those cravings. At least it did for me and for my husband. So really, once you make all of those swaps, you're you're there. And you don't have to swap it out all at once. Like I said, you can start, if you wanted to, you can start with just getting the dairy out of your diet, or you could start with just getting the meat out of your diet. Whatever you feel like is gonna work for you in the long term is what's gonna be best. For us, especially for my husband, making that slower transition where we kind of did things like one at a time, gradually into our diet, is like really what has been helping us stick with it. So those are the 3 like main things that you need to know about transitioning to a plant-based diet. Those are going to be the things that are going to help you transition smoothly and also be able to stick with it. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below, or you can also message me over on my Instagram. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!